empire. So I turned around and I said, did you just say to me? And I see the attacker. How can you doubt that? Like, how do you not believe that?
Illinois Supreme Court has overturned Jussie Smollett's conviction.
Gather around, kids, and allow me to tell you the story of Jussie Smollett. Jussie Smollett. I keep messing it up every time. I only think of Dave Chappelle's Jussie Smollett.
Jussie Smollett. He's a very famous French actor.
That's how I remember his name now. Jussie Smollett, not Jussie Smollett. Although I'm probably gonna say Juicy the entire time because I think it's hysterical. Either way, in case you need a refresher, Jussie Smollett here created a fake hate crime back in 2019 so that he could get a little bit of attention, and he was arrested for it. Well, an investigation happened, and then he was arrested for it, and then he was given nothing, and then a special investigator happened, and now we're here today where the state of Illinois Supreme Court has decided to come down with a ruling and let Jussie Smollett walk completely free. Well, almost. So let's get down to business and talk about the importance of the Jussie Smollett case, where the bungling happened, and then what this overall verdict on his case means for everybody around us. Can we just start creating fake hate crimes? No, but didn't he just get away with a fake hate crime? Kind of. But stick with me because we're gonna break it down after a word from this video's sponsor. Delete Me. Do you know what a data broker is? I'm sure you do, but in case you don't, every time you sign in or log into somewhere, you want to buy a nice pair of shoes, you type in your email and all your personal information. That business gets bombarded by data brokers who buy and sell your personal information so that it goes everywhere. You ever buy that one thing and put your email address in it, and then you get 30 emails the next day from random stuff you've never even seen? Data brokers. People stealing your personal information and putting it out there, but Delete Me can change that. A lot of these places that use these data brokers, well, once you officially ask them, hey, don't share my crap, or hey, take my crap down off your website, they have to do it. None of us have the time to do that 15,000 times a day, but Delete Me does. Because once you open a subscription with Delete Me, every so often Delete Me goes through everything, hundreds and thousands of places that might have your information, and sends them cease and desists. If you're tired of robocalls and all that other BS, just check out joindeleteme.com/angrycops and use code ANGRYCOPS for 20% off. That's 20% off so that your phone rings less, you get less junk text messages, and the mailbox on your Gmail gets a little bit easier to go through. 20% off using code ANGRYCOPS at joindeleteme.com. Check out the link below. Let's refresh our memories back in late 2019. Jussie Smollett, a member of the fantastic show Empire, which I never watched because I just don't give a... Well, Jussie wanted a little bit more coin in his next contract on this fantastic show Empire, so he did what every normal American would do. Create a fake hate crime so that he could be splashed all over the news, be a shining star, and get a little bit of bump up in that pay.
You call attempted mayhem a normal citizen's reaction?
So what happened that night, late in 2019? Well, Jussie said that he was walking to Subway because he was hangry at 1 or 2 in the morning, got his Subway sandwich, or didn't, nah, doesn't matter, when 2 white people with MAGA hats on yelled out to Jussie,
Empire.
To which Jussie's like, oh,
my name ain't Empire.
And then they put a noose around his neck. And if you've seen the noose, it looks like a weird shoestring thing because Jussie isn't just an African-American actor, he's also a gay African-American actor. Double the hate crime, half the price. And after garnering Jussie's attention, the 2 MAGA hat-wearing white boys start beating the shit out of him, pouring bleach on him, yelling, "This is MAGA country," in the middle of Chicago. By the way, the city of Chicago is MAGA country. All right.
The lie detector test determined that was a lie.
But nonetheless, a noose. And that's when Jussie goes back to his beautiful hotel room / apartment complex thing, talks to a friend of his who comes over and says, "Jussie, what happened?" And Jussie's there with a noose around his neck, still hanging there. And his friend says, "You should call the police." Jussie does. He makes a police report and it gets investigated. Well, what happened? Well, it turns out that the 2 guys that allegedly beat up Jussie and said this is MAGA country and poured bleach on him, 2 African brothers. I don't mean African as in straight off, out of the country Africa, bodybuilding, yoked dudes trying to make their way into the illustrious Tinseltown Hollywood showbiz that is America. Jussie gave him a couple grand, told him to put on the hats, rough him up a little bit, do as he says, and then hey, maybe there's a position for him down the line in the next Empire series. Ooh.
This is my big break. I'll be a star.
Now this all hit the news and everybody started to look at Jussie and say, well, this whole thing looks weird. And then the information about the two brothers from Africa that are bodybuilders that planned all this stuff with Jussie came out, and everyone was like, well, that's not good. And what originally happened is Jussie, although yelling to the high heavens saying this isn't and this is real, and going on like CNN and different day show interview things to say, oh, woe is me, the world is racist and horrible place, look at what America's done to me. Well, he pled guilty. And in his agreement with the then and now District Attorney of Cook County, which encompasses Chicago, Kim Foxx, well, his defense and the DA's office come to a sweetheart deal, which is that the $10,000 bail that Jussie had to put up, well, he's just gonna have to eat that, and really he's a Hollywood guy who gives a shit. And he's gonna have to do a certain number of community hours, community service. And what a service he's done to America. I'm sure that 50 community service hours are gonna make up for the fact that he was on TV 24/7 for like 4 months talking about how bad America is and racist and how woe is him. Yeah, I'm sure that's gonna do it. So anywho, that's a sweetheart of a deal. Would you take that deal? I'd take that deal.
Damn good deal.
But then the outrage happened, an uproar, a community swelling of grievances. Well, then a special prosecutor got involved, started looking into all the ins and outs of this and said, hey, guess what? We're gonna rescind that offer that the district attorney's office gave Mr. Jussie Smollett, and we're gonna look at some legitimate, serious jail time for these offenses and fines for his fake hate crime, which turned the entire city upside down, cops running everywhere, people being like, why aren't the police investigating this? How can the police have just let this drop? Why aren't they doing their job? Oh wait, it was, yeah, all that headache, all the headache that the cops had to go through. The special prosecutor investigator was like, no, that's not enough. And that brings us to today. You see, Jussie's case went all the way up to the Illinois State Supreme Court. In New York, we call it the Court of Appeals, the highest court within said state. And what did the justices in the state of Illinois say?
Oh, I can't stay mad at you.
Jussie gets to walk away scot-free, well, almost, from all the charges that the special prosecutor placed on Jussie after Jussie had already struck the deal with the DA of Cook County, Kim Foxx. What a piece of... By the way, she's no longer gonna be the DA anymore in Cook County. She didn't run again. She's getting replaced. Can't wait to see how she's elevated someplace as some great do-gooder who did absolutely nothing but let Cook County burn and give a sweetheart deal to a man who made her city look like with a fake hate crime. So, you, Kim. Let's talk about that, right? Let's talk about how the state Supreme Court decided to drop all the additional charges on Jussie in regards to the special investigator slash prosecutor that was put in charge of the investigation after Kim Foxx, the retard, decided that justice for the entire city, Chicago Police Department, and America regarding this fake hate crime would be $10,000 bail forfeited and a couple hours of community service. Have you ever heard of Double Jeopardy? It's a very good movie. You should watch it. It's also based around the context that once you are charged and then found guilty or not guilty of something, you can't then be recharged and put something into trial again and again and again until you get the outcome that you want. For example, let's say that I stole a bike. Okay, and then I get arrested and there's an investigation on how I stole the bike and the prosecution brings up all the evidence, but then my defense makes a deal with the prosecution that says, hey, listen, we know he stole the bike. We just want to get through this. That way you're not tied up with a whole bunch of nonsense. We're not tied up with a whole bunch of nonsense. We can get this taken care of quickly. And the prosecution says, sounds like a good idea. What we're gonna do is, we're gonna have him give back the bike and we're gonna have him pay $200 in fines. My defense goes, sounds like a good idea. well then it's done. It's over with. It's settled. The prosecution cannot then go, hey, you know what? That bike was actually a one-of-a-kind bike and he scratched it, and we decided that we're gonna put him in jail for 5 years. So we're gonna retry this. Can't do that. The defense and prosecution already came to an agreement, settled on it, signed off on it. The judge says this is what both sides want, and then it's done. The point of this is so then if you do something and you're found not guilty or whatever, the state can't just keep trying to arrest you until something eventually sticks. That would be lawfare. What an interesting term that seems to have come up all of a sudden. That would be an abuse of power of the state trying to belittle an individual. Founding fathers didn't like that. Founding fathers don't want big government trying things over and over again to screw the little guy in whatever way they can. Now there is an exception, is let's say that I stole the bike and killed the guy, and then all everybody knows is that I just stole the bike, and then a year after I get my charge of giving back the bike and the $200 in fines, the prosecution goes, wait a second, we've discovered an additional evidence that we didn't have before that shows that a secondary or a continuation of said crime occurred, right? Well, then they would charge you the new charges or the up charges and say, new evidence has come in, we've gotten new details, a new crime has emerged. Well then, yes, that's taken care of, and you'll see that in a lot of homicides. It starts off as like a robbery or somebody stealing something, and then eventually, years later, additional evidence is gained, they put on new charges to this person, new charges, and then they're charged with murder, etc. So the state of Illinois' Supreme Court did a good job in saying, hey, listen, we know that this guy deserves to have the book thrown at him. That's not our job. Our job is to make sure that everything happened in accordance with the law and that nobody was overstepping their bounds. And if you're gonna charge a guy, find him guilty of something, and then once that agreement is done in stone, just decide to start up that investigation all over again, to then recharge him with heavier stuff, well, we're not gonna do that. And I'm sure you could see that all going down a slippery slope. So before everybody gets upset with the state Supreme Court in Illinois, the person you need to be upset with is the district attorney, Kim Foxx. She decided that, hey, I'm gonna let my friend go, which by the way, there's a whole bunch of like canoodling in there with Kim Foxx. Dirty lawyer. And Hollywood types and people in power saying, hey, take care of Jussie for us, he's a friend. And her being like, well, okay, I can do that. It's not a big deal anyway. Now, Jussie still has to pay $130,000 in fines because that's about how much overtime it took for Chicago detectives to try and figure out and gather evidence and put together this investigation that was supposed to assist Jussie in finding who these people that attacked him were, but ended up just proving that Jussie falsified a hate crime, so he's not off the hook completely. But that's the loss for everybody in the judicial system that looks around and says, what are we freaking doing? But a win is also for everybody, a part of the judicial system. Can't say it, I'm just tongue-tied. Because the state Supreme Court of Illinois is saying, hey, you get picked up, arrested, charged, and then boom, found guilty or innocent of something, you don't just get to restart that thing until you get, the state or county or city, till they get the outcome that they want. That's not justice. It's kind of like the whole Bill Cosby thing. Was Bill Cosby a bad guy that did a whole bunch of shit to women? Yes. Should he have gotten away with it? No. Should the DA that was in charge of that trick Bill Cosby and use some not so ethical ways to get him to say what he had to say? No. Did that then lead to everything getting overturned with Cosby? Yes. But in the long run, does it mean that he can't use unethical behavior on people? Yes, which is good. That's a bigger win. So bittersweet here, you know. We get rights, but Jussie Smollett also gets away with what he should have been charged with. All right. Best way to support the channel is get yourself a shirt or a Whoopee hoodie. We've only got 50 left, so they're going out of style fast. And check out the new shirt, A Lighthouse for Pussy, the Navy. I mean, Jussie Smollett would not like that shirt. He is all about the wiener. As a gay man, which is not a joke, that's a fact. So don't be going in my comments saying I'm homophobic, all right? That's just a scientific fact. What do you think about Jussie Smollett? Do you think that this was justice? Jeez. Do you think also, though, that, you know, the Supreme Court of Illinois was right to be like, hey, listen, even though this guy's a shitbird, we can't put everybody else's rights in Jeopardy. All right. See you next time, weirdos. But then the outrage happened, an uproar, a community swelling of shit, what's it called? Community swelling of, I have an issue with something. A community swell of, not agitation.